Hello and welcome to this installation video for the pdf2Data template editor and template manager, which are delivered as Docker components. Let's get started. Let's begin by visiting the Apryse website and hovering over products, where you'll notice pdf2Data is in fact one of those products. We're now inside the pdf2Data portion of the Apryse website. We'll simply here go to documentation and then downloads. So pdf2Data, it consists of two modules, the editor and manager to build templates, and then to execute those templates via an SDK. This video will focus on the pdf2Data editor as well as the manager. We've created what's called deployment scripts. And these can be found in the installation guide. This is everything you need to know or follow is on this particular page right here. We introduce the process. We introduce some prerequisites. You need to make sure that you have Docker installed, because pdf2Data is in fact Docker containers and images. So let's go through these steps here. You'll notice that there are some prerequisites. We're going to verify that Docker is installed and running, as well as the Docker Compose plugin. And the scripts that we've developed require the Kotlin command line compiler. So those three I'm going to verify right now. I'm going to switch to a terminal window. Okay, I'm now inside a terminal session. And the prerequisites require that we verify Docker, Docker Compose, and the Kotlin compiler, which I will do here. Here's our first command. You can see that I'm currently running Docker version 23.0.5 in a certain build. Now we'll do the Docker Compose version. You can see that is installed as well with its release number. And then lastly, the Kotlin compiler. So I've just verified that these prerequisites are in fact installed on my machine, because the next steps when we execute the deployment script will require that these exist. All right, let's get to that. Okay, the next step is to download the script. If you click this link, it takes you to this repository. And as of this date, the latest is version 4.4.1. If you click on that, you need to click on this download link, and it downloads it to your machine. I'm going to copy that to a separate directory, which will show in the next step. Okay, the next steps after we've downloaded the script is to create an application directory. This directory needs to be initially empty, and it needs to be writable for the Kotlin compiler. So if I switch to my terminal window, I've created a directory known as pdf2Data_v4.4.1, and I have already copied the downloaded script from the prior step, and that's the only thing in this directory. Now we'll go through the steps to build environment and configuration files, and then finally to deploy the application to Docker. Okay, returning to our deployment guide, you could, if you wanted to, get a list of available commands and parameters with this command here. We're not going to do that for this particular video. So the first step is we're going to run this helper script to deploy the application. So as you can see here, the first step is to generate a Docker Compose configuration file. And this is the actual command. And conveniently, I'm able to copy that to my clipboard, switch back to my terminal window, and I'm going to paste that command in. All right, so first thing you need to do is determine whether you want the editor to be standalone or a full application. So I'm going to choose full application here. I'll delete. All right. And you need to change these X, Y, Z values to what our script name is. And if you recall, it was 4.4.1. And I'll go ahead and hit enter here. And as you can see, the return of that operation was application file has been successfully created at docker-compose YML. And if I do a directory listing here, you will see we have the original script followed by docker-compose.yml. Let's go to the next step. Okay, the second step in our deployment process is to generate an environment configuration file, and it will create a .env file. And like the prior step, here's your command to do that. I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. Going to head back to my terminal session. I'm going to paste that command in. And now you're presented with some options which are clearly documented on the deployment page. I'm going to choose not to do multi-workspace mode, so I'm going to delete that. This is where I'm able to specify my administrator password. You'll see where that comes into play in a bit. So I'm going to have our password be called admin password. Get rid of this right bracket here. And like before, this is a full application, not just the editor. And by full application, it's the editor with the manager. So our mode here will be full application. And like we did in the prior step, we need to tell it what the script name is that we're running. It's the only one we have in this directory, and that, if you remember, is 4.4.1. I'm going to hit enter. And at the end of this, you can see that our configuration file .env has been successfully created. And if I do an ls or a directory of this, you now can see the three files there, the .env, the original script, and the .yml file. Okay, let's go on to the last step and deploy this to Docker. All right, the third and final step is to deploy the application, which you can see here. Before we do that, though, this requires that Docker be actually up and running. And just to let you know, I have Docker Desktop on my machine here. I'll bring that into view. So this is my Docker Desktop, and we are up and running. Okay. I'm going to copy that command to the clipboard, switch to my terminal session, paste that command in, and the only thing we need to change here is the script name, which was 4.4.1, and when I hit enter, the result of this should be okay. So if you get this error, all right, you could see we have a error here. Too many requests. If you get this, don't fret, just re-execute the command. And if you get it a second time, just re-execute the command. There we go. This is what you should see. So now we're pulling from the Docker Hub these images, and at the end of this process we will have pdf2Data full application running as Docker containers, and we'll go to the next step after that. So let's let this complete. We're done downloading, extracting, and as you can see, the containers and images were created and they're now started. So let's go back to our Docker Desktop to verify this. Okay, let's return to our Docker Desktop. And as you can see, we now have a container running. It's called pdf2Data v441, which contains the editor, a backend, a front end, and a database. The front end will be able to access through our localhost port 80. So if I just simply switch to the browser here and just do localhost. This is our instance of pdf2Data. The default sign-in is admin@email.com. You recall from our step we created a password, which was just admin password. I'll go ahead and log in. We give you a chance to watch an introductory video if you'd like. But now we've successfully installed through the deployment script pdf2Data editor hosted as a Docker container.